Okay, so this is just a continuation to the last video, obviously, but I wanted to point out too here. So 20, 154 days is literally 22 weeks. So whatever, 22 weeks. I talked about 22 in the Nebraska game, but also 5 months, 1 day, and then 15-4 or 154, kind of like the day Abraham Lincoln died. It's all coded to Abe Lincoln. But 51, I said Geronimo adds up to 51. But when you do a little research and you look into Geronimo, there's not even a whole lot of things here. You just go to some of these films. 1939, you can't even click on that one, so I don't know. But anyway, this one, 1962, look when it came out, May 1st. Kind of like 5-1. Even 101 minutes long. Philadelphia adds up to 101. It's the 26th prime, interesting, that came out in 62. This guy played Geronimo. Chuck Connors actually died on my birthday. Interesting, but he died at the age of 71. We talked about the 71 coding. Even if you go back here, there's another film in 1993. And this one came out on December 5th, 12/5. Talked about that in the last video. That's the day of the Philadelphia Trainwreck, 5/12. The mirror. It's the day that the Phi Beta Kappa began. It all ties into the Skull and Bones. Never even looked at this person. Well, maybe I did, but it doesn't have a date for the birthday, so let's move on. This one was a French film. It doesn't really have a whole lot. It did come out on the 88th Catholic World Mission Day. 104, I've seen a lot in the Oregon shooting the other day. But anyway, you keep going down here. So it's talking about the 51s. When Osama bin Laden was killed on 5/1 of 2011, so 5/1/11, it was actually originally called Geronimo, and then they changed it to Operation Neptune's Spear. So interesting, Osama bin Laden. It says May 2nd on here, but it was May 1st. Or at least that's what they originally had reported it as, maybe because of the time change, since it didn't happen in America. It was 5/1 there. Or actually, it was 5/1 here, and it was 5/2 there. So, yeah, I guess it was 5/2. But I remember they reported it on 5/1. So just wanted to point that out, I guess. Geronimo. It was called Geronimo, and then they changed it to Operation Neptune Spear. And then in America, he died on 5/1. So just thought that was kind of interesting. So then I just wanted to look up the nation's capitals. I remember that Philadelphia was like one of the first capitals of the United States. It even says here, First Continental Congress, even Independence Hall on the Second Continental Congress until 12/12 of 1776. Talked about 12/12 a lot with the Moses, and the 12 times 12 is 144. 12 tribes of Israel, whatever. But I just wanted to see, so Philadelphia was the capital during the nation's independence, which happened on 7/4, obviously, of 1776. But this is the day right here that Washington, D.C., it didn't become the capital, but the signing of the Residence Act on July 16th approved the creation of a capital district. So this thing approved the capital district. But let's check out Residence Act in Gematria. $106. What are the odds of that? 106. And then I took this date, 7/26, then the day that the Residence Act was passed, from July 4th, 1776. And actually, I typed it in wrong. It's actually 7/16, July 16th, not 26. So just pointing that out really quick. July 16th from the Residence Act, from the Independence Day, 5,125 days, or also the mirrors of 5/12, literally. 5/12 and then 5/12. I mean, that's pretty interesting that it could come up to that. So 5/12, or whatever. It has to be a super special day. Originally, I don't know. I thought of 215 like the last day of Lupercalia, and this is also 2015. So, and I've mentioned this before, so I don't know. It really feels like it's definitely coded for this year. It seems to make sense. Even if you look at one of the area codes of Philadelphia, one of the area codes is literally 215, the mirror of 512 even. So 512 backwards. So then, according to this thing here on Wikipedia, it says that Washington, D.C. didn't actually become the capital until November 17th, 1800 to December 8th, 1815. And then it moved to this building, and then the new one until from 1819 until now. But interesting, November 17th, 1800, that is 200. That will be 215 years ago on November 17th, which once again is the backwards 512. So 512 definitely, I think, a definite coded number in the nation's history. Who knows? Today is 10/6, so nothing will probably happen. It'll probably be, who knows? It's just a significant day, but who knows? Interesting too, I guess. The Yankees play tonight. Patriotic, whatever. The Yankees. If the Yankees lose, I'm gonna go with the Cubs are gonna win the World Series. But if the Yankees win, I'm sticking with the Mets versus the Yankees. It just seems it's been so coded with the Subway series and whatnot. I did make the video last night about I Pet Goat and the Chicago Cubs and all the 106 coding. But if the Yankees lose, I think the Cubs will win it all. If not, the Yankees, I think, are going to win it all. I forgot to mention a Geronimo thing, too. Geronimo is like what people say when they jump out of the airplane or whatever. Geronimo, right? And there's been a huge falling theme in whatever, too. You had the tennis player, Jack Sock or whatever, that collapsed. I made videos on it. I'm just talking off my memory here, but he collapsed. Then later that night, the drone fell into the same stadium. Even with the Atlanta Braves player or the fan that fell, the age 60, who fell in Turner Field, and Turner Field adds up to 60. There was that actor who fell off the fire escape or whatever right around that same time. Also, you had like Kanye West, who the only reason he played in Glastonbury was because Dave Grohl fell off the stage and broke his leg. There's a big falling theme, and interesting you would yell Geronimo when you're falling. And the Kanye West stuff was coded with the number 139. That's why it was interesting that Moses Malone died that day. Moses Malone added up to 60. He died 17 days after another Philadelphia 76er who died at the age of 58. All super coded. And interesting tonight, then in the Nebraska game, the first time that Illinois scored was 1 minute and 39 seconds into the fourth quarter. Also, there was a play where they pretty much got hosed or whatever. They said it was first down or whatever, and it wasn't. It was actually fourth down, and then they ran a play, and they would have just punted it if they would have knew. But the chain gang had messed up or whatever, and they stopped the clock to review it at 13:09, kind of like 1:39. And I talked about this a long time ago, but we talked about Geronimo is 51. Well, Freddie is 51, Gray 51. It's all connected to the Kanye West, Taylor Swift, the Confederate flag, Confederate. I talked about Wayne's World back in the day. The Geneva Bible is 51 years before the King James Bible. USS Eldridge, it's all about the Philadelphia experiment. So interesting that these would add up to 51 as well. The word conspiracy even adds up to 51. And I just thought of a few more of the falling examples. It's the Roanoke shooter who was 41 years old. And I talked about that in the first video. But he died in a town called Falls Church, Virginia, September 23rd. That's still coded. I still see it all the time. So it was actually the first day of fall. So just wanted to point them out. So also in this game here, this guy is the starting running back. This guy had a lot of carries too in the game, but they made a big deal about this guy going out. He had a shoulder injury, but interesting. I'll just click on him really quick. Interesting, he went out on his 71st rushing attempt, or, he had 71, and then he went out of the game. And he was like the main guy that they go to, and then this guy, I assume, is the second one, but this guy's number 5. He's even from Antioch, Tennessee. Just interesting, we had the Antioch shooting that dealt with the 85s and whatnot. The theater shooting, Abraham Lincoln died in a theater. But wanted to point out he's number 5. And the quarterback then is number 12. So literally when that other guy went out, it left him with number 12 handing off to number 5 all the time. So a 12-5 thing. And even when this guy went out, look at his stats. 4 of 50 average, 12.5. I mean, the odds of that are ridiculous. This guy, his average rush, 4.1, kind of like 41. Even the team's average was 41. Or 4.1. And look at the gematria. This is the guy who went out of the game. Josh Ferguson. 157 and also 58. Numbers I've talked about multiple times in these games. Just to put it in perspective really quick, Tom Osborne, who coached Nebraska for 34 years, not just head coach, but altogether, 34 years, 157. Brooke Behringer, 157, 85. They're on a statue together outside of Memorial Stadium. This is a guy who fired Frank Solich. Rigged Sports, 157. The United States, 157. 157 even adds up to 239, kind of like the 52nd prime. Mississippi had the Delta State shooting, whatever, Monetta, Virginia, the fake shooting there, 157. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Funny, I just noticed, I talked about the number 91 in the last video with the Skull and Bones and George Bush and Jimmy Carter, who just turned 91 and 111 days apart. They both turned 91. But Geronimo Allison had 91 yards even. I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said, I could probably make 2 more videos on this, on some of the coding in this game. There's definitely a lot of coding. They definitely did some 45 coding as well, 45 and 70. It's like I said, there's a lot about number 22, and then number 22 was even the leading rusher of the game with 70 yards. His name even adds up to 70 in gematria. Last week it was this guy, number 35, who had the 53-yard catch or whatever it was. And then he had 43 yards this week. Who knows? But, I mean, there was just a lot of other coding. Like I said, I'm just super busy. I haven't had a day off of work in a long time now. I got a lot of other stuff to do. Like I said, I'm in another cover band, and we have to practice tomorrow, so I probably won't even be home until midnight. So, who knows? Have a good night.